So, in this week's update log, the developers did mention that Badlands mini rework was coming in the next update. Now, in the Archer update, they just mentioned Pizza Party mini rework, and we got this. Now, I wouldn't say this is a mini rework. I would say this is like nearly a complete rework. The only thing that hasn't changed is like the map itself and like some of the enemies. But, yeah, it's completely changed nearly. Wave structure, new returning event enemies, updated Pizza Party to the new ecosystem. So, with that said, what can we expect from a Badlands mini rework? Now, this is being recorded when there's been no leaks for Badlands mini rework. I don't anticipate any Badlands mini rework leaks to be released, but that's why if there has been any leaks recently, that's why I've not been able to cover it, because it's not been said yet. So the first thing that will be updated in Badlands 2 is the new ecosystem. So firstly, shared cache will be changed, and there'll be difference in the amount of cash that you get depending on the amount of damage you deal to an enemy. As of right now, it's a uniform 25% shared cash. However, in duo it's 12.5%, in trio it's 16.7%, and in quad it's 18.75%. Now, it may seem a bit counterintuitive why 18.75% it's higher in quad. However, that's because in duo, it's because you're dealing more damage per person, so that's why it's higher. Additionally, it will probably change from a model of cash being given per damage as the damage is being dealt, so that's what we're seeing currently with Badlands 2, to cash being given on death or when a certain amount of damage is being dealt. For example, for Wax the Fox. Actually, Wax the Fox doesn't actually give any cash. Oh, that's the case for like the Sock Puppet. For example, the Sock Puppet is meant to give 1,600 health every 18,000% health. Yeah, so it doesn't actually give any cash. Furthermore, what we can expect is probably a health scaling. So in duo mode, it's 15%. In trio, 25% in trio, and 35% in quad for Pizza Party. We probably can expect the same in Badlands 2. The reason why we can expect that is because they've done it in events as well. It seems like they're scaling it, so the more players there are, the more balanced it is. So it seems like the middle ground is trio. Trio is like the easiest-ish in comparison to, say, quad. Quad is like the hardest. I can't lie. Furthermore, they're going to change the wave bonuses to be like something like exponential, or not like this. They're just changing the equation to like this to this. This is exponential. This is not exponential. Furthermore, I think they'll change the reward equations from previously it was like something similar to linear equation. Well, it's not linear, it's like exponential, to something sigmoidal for some reason. Other changes will probably include using its own mode instead of using the Legacy Fallen mode wave structure. Furthermore, the mutation increase, or the mutational thing that Badlands 2 has, it'll probably be modified as the balancing for the Badlands 2 changes. What I do see changing is actually the unique enemies in Badlands 2. Now, Badlands 2 actually doesn't have that many unique enemies. Comparatively, I think Badlands 2 had the least amount of unique enemies when it was first added as a special map. So I think Badlands 2 had like 3 unique enemies. This is like being completely unique. 4 actually. So that's Gunslinger, Cavalry, Undead Miner, and the Husk. At the time of release, these were the only 4 enemies that were completely unique to Badlands 2. All the other enemies, they were seen in Legacy Fallen mode. So it wasn't that, like, if people didn't find it that special. The only thing special was the fact that Badlands 2 had like 3 lanes. So what I anticipate is the developers re-adding some enemies, or even adding some new enemies entirely. The only problem is, how do they add some new enemies? Now, they could take a leaf out of the Pizza Party rework and re-add some old enemies from the past. Now, they can't really go back to, say, I don't know, Nightmare Carnival and re-add, I don't know, Jackabot, Jax, and all of this stuff. Furthermore, it had to fit the theme of Badlands 2. So I don't know, like, these enemies, maybe the reanimated, maybe the buried. The buried, maybe, actually. But the only problem is, the buried is, like, hilariously old code. So that might not actually be properly working. So that's why I think that might be prevented. However, there are some other enemies that could be re-added. I don't know. Frey Yoshida. You know, could Frey Yoshida potentially return to Badlands 2? You never know. In all seriousness, I don't know. Jax, Scarecrow, I don't know. Bones, Mummy, Undead, I don't know. Werewolf, Overgrowth, Shrugma, Dust, like, I don't know. It seems like Solar Eclipse enemies may be able to return. The Knight was replaced with the modern one seen in Lunar Overture, so that doesn't count. That won't return. Something like the Vampire is not has been replaced, so that won't return either. Colbert Guard is also replaced. I don't know, Solar Eclipse, not many enemies here that look suitable for a return. Maybe the zombie horse, I don't know. Moving on to 2021, yeah, I don't think none of the duck enemies could return to Badlands 2, nor none of the cold ambush enemies. Yeah, I don't think it's suited for, like, elves returning. For this, I don't know. There's surprisingly none of the, like, pumpkins, overgrowth, yeah, none of those returned for Pizza Party. Maybe they're waiting for Badlands 2. The only thing is, I don't really see something like the pumpkin returning for Badlands 2. Like, where does a pumpkin have in a Western themed map? Then again, you never know. Like, maybe there's like some skeletons laying around in the Western world somehow. I don't know. Maybe you get some actors. Maybe you get some hands. I don't think there'll be hands. Definitely not none of the elves nor the Frozens or stuff like this. No, certainly not. 2024 though, let's see. None of core block stuff. Will the core block stuff return? Probably not. Classic stuff, nah, probably not either. The failed gateway stuff. Now, interestingly, I could actually see some of the failed gateway stuff returning because the map itself kind of looks a bit Badlandish. You know, mining village, well, meanwhile, Badlands kind of looks like a mining village as well. So, like, I wouldn't actually mind seeing, like, the quick pawn, Brainbound, Neurorunner, Mindshackled, and the Synaptic. I actually kind of see those returning to Badlands 2. And, like, stuff like these, Nightmare Realm, yeah, less likely. But, like, the Blightwalker, Rotting Terror, Conjurer, Nightmarish Hulk, maybe, possibly, they kind of suit it. Like, enemies like this, like, there's a lot of enemies, a lot of unique enemies. Like, it would probably be a waste for all of these enemies to have so much effort being put into them just to go for a waste for an event that lasts, like, 2 or 3 weeks. So, I kind of see them returning. As for Please Donate, yeah, imagine the guests appearing all of a sudden in Badlands 2. Yeah, not happening. And for Frost Invasion, not happening either. As for the current enemies in Badlands 2, I'm not sure many of them will change. So for the unique enemies, the Husk, the Undead Miner, the Cavalry, and the Gunslinger, I really doubt that any of them would change at all because, like, why would they need to change? The only change that I see them doing is, like, balancing changes to fit the new wave that they'll appear in. Like, the Undead Miner may be moved to, I don't know, wave 39. Maybe the Cavalry will get boss when it first appears if it gets moved to, like, wave 35 or something. I don't know. Gunslinger may change its health, it may change its speed or whatever, but it won't change its, like, ability because the Fox never changed its ability either. As far as some of the other enemies, I think there's going to be, like, a complete overhaul of some of the enemies. Maybe the Abnormal, Quick, and Heavy will survive, but Abnormal boss is going. Necromancer probably will stay, actually, thinking about it. Giant boss is going. Shadow boss is going. Glitch is going. Has going. Tank's going. Breaker Falls probably staying, actually, thinking about it. Boomer's probably staying as well, probably. Warden's going. Necromancer boss probably staying, thinking about it. But there were going to be a whole splashing of new enemies, I would believe. Now, there is one other thing I want to talk about, and that's the sorry, not the Gunslinger badge, the Quickdraw badge. Now, I heavily see this changing because there is no way that with the changes that are going to make it to the Badlands 2, that they can balance out Quickdraw to its current state, which is to be under 18 minutes. I mean, right now it's like ridiculously easy. 322, that's more than, say, Pizza Party. That's more than Pizza Party. That's more than the Lost Souls. So they'll probably have to change this to be a different requirement. I don't know, like, I don't know, beat it in whatever the hardest thing is that they can think of for the new Badlands 2. Now, it's going to be hard, probably hard, very hard. How hard? I don't know, but it is going to be your last opportunity to beat Quickdraw under the current circumstances. It's probably going to be the easiest time to beat it because of all the tower changes that have gotten progressively easier to make the game easier. Yeah, so that's my predictions for Badlands 2. So, yeah, good luck. It's going to get harder, I think. It might get easier. It might stay the same, but it's going to get harder, I think.